Hello everyone and welcome to the Music Professor channel. I'm Matthew King and I'm here with Loki, who's helping me present today's video. It's a very quick video where we're just going to go through some answers for the last quiz, which was about clefs. And what is there to say about this except just to give you the answers, which I'm going to do very quickly. So there were 10 clefs. And we're going to see those clefs popping up on the screen as we go through. The first clef was this one, and we had this marvellous thing, which is one of the wonderful collection of two-part inventions by US Bach. And then the next clef was this one, and the composer was this. Wonderful sparse texture, very typical of that composer. That was Haydn. Haydn's beautiful late Sonata in C major, written when he was in London, I think it was about 1792, on the celebrity trip that made him into a very rich man at the end of his life. And the next one is this. That was wonderful chromatic, quite melancholy music. It was actually by Mozart. One or two of you thought it could have been by Chopin. And yes, I mean, I think in Mozart's more melancholic pianism, there is just a hint of Chopin, and I don't think that's entirely coincidental. The tradition of Mozart's pianism really went through Hummel, not through Beethoven so much, to Chopin. Chopin was directly influenced by Hummel and probably knew pieces like this. So anyway, it's Mozart, but isn't it extraordinary, that kind of melancholic proto-Chopin-esque style that he was pioneering in the 1780s. Here's the next clef. Possibly difficult to get from that music, but it was in fact Ludwig van Beethoven. That was one of the late Bagatelles, opus 119. Although you wouldn't immediately know it was Beethoven, that funny, kind of cheeky, mysterious, quirky, humorous style is not unusual for Beethoven. He is one of the most humorous composers of all, I think. He has that kind of Shakespearean quality where he can do tragedy and abrasive, horrible, terrifying things, but he can also do, you know, pastoral and clowning and all that. There's something quite Shakespearean about dear old Beethoven. And his clef is bonkers. His handwriting is insane. Right, let's go on to the next one. We had that wonderful Moment Musical, which he wrote about 1825. C-sharp minor is in fact it has this almost Bach-like outer section with a beautiful song-like middle section, which was the bit I played. Typical Schubert, incredibly beautiful. I said about Schubert, he's one of Stravinsky's favourite composers. Yes, Stravinsky's favourite composers apparently were Schubert and Mozart. So there's something interesting. So moving on to clef number 6, we had this lovely barcarolle thing. And this lovely tune. A really key figure in the emergence of Romanticism in the late 1820s. Felix Mendelssohn, a favourite composer of mine. I think he's enormously underrated. Moving on to clef number 7, I think it is. That amazing, passionate, overexcited, energised post-Beethovenian Romanticism. This is the unique sound of the great Robert Schumann. In his prime, this is his Fantasiestück in F minor, full of all the turbulence of Romanticism. And one of my clever contributors said it was Florestan, extra point for that, yes. Schumann divided his creative personality into two sort of mythical beings. One was Florestan, who was the tempestuous, stormy side, and the other was Eusebius, who was the dreamy, nostalgic side, and he saw them as the two parts of his own creative character. That's the Florestan side. Clef number 8 was mentored by Robert Schumann, so there's a big clue. And this wonderful music comes from his Opus 119. We've already had an Opus 119. That was the Beethoven Bagatelle I played earlier on. Brahms's Opus 119 is this amazing collection of Intermezzi, his final collection, which he composed in the summer of 1893 and dedicated to Clara Schumann. So there's another connection back to Robert Schumann, who died many years earlier. Brahms and Clara, of course, had a long-term, complex relationship. This was written when they were both quite elderly and shortly before they both died. And it's full of a sort of poignancy, a sense of regret, a sort of autumnal reflectivity, difficult to explain, but marvellous, marvellous music. Some of you thought it sounded almost like Debussy. Well, I know what you mean. It has an impressionistic, sort of melancholic quality, and of course, these fantastic cobwebs of thirds going all over the piece means that it demonstrates Brahms at his most progressive in a way. Okay, next piece, following on from Brahms sounding like Debussy, was Debussy. This is Debussy's wonderful Prelude from the second book, General Levine Eccentric, not a very famous piece, in a kind of cakewalk style, influenced by popular American music of the period, with these sort of proto-Stravinskian sort of bouncing parallel triads. Fantastic. And then it's got this sort of cakewalk melody. And then finally we had this. Someone said it reminded them of Ravel's, the opening of Ravel's left-hand piano concerto, and I can completely understand why, because it is Ravel. It's from his piano trio. The opening of the third movement is just a solo left hand right at the bottom of the piano. Quite a remarkable thing to do, bold and mysterious. And that's your set of pieces, 10 of them. Well done, those of you who got them all right. And just to go through the winners, because there were quite a few, I'm going to give extra points to nice people like Ryan O'Kirk and Way to Go Bro, who said nice things about me. RFC3514 said, if you can identify them all, congratulations, you've won Master Clef. Well, obviously an extra point for saying that. So, okay, here are the winners. I'll just read them out. Stone Chords, Floris Hadra, Dusan Pavlicek, 78, Kochim 9883, Timothy 4664, Vicky Morgan D80, Jeremy Jeffs, Treth Tower, Nigel Hayward, Juco Totostrom, PT Dive, Dolces Piano, Pianist Wonderful 364, Raisin Brahms, Richard Griffiths, Nick Morton, Mattia, Historical Piano, Tricky Sam, Evan Circum, Bob O, RC Last Name, Barnaby Marder, Rob H 9079, who also got Florestan for Schumann. I thought it was pretty cool, so I'm going to give him an extra mark. Michelangelini Tenor, Jim Cullen, Dorito Apollo, the George Veer. Well, actually, he got them, but I think he was cheating, and he said got them from just the first note of the compositions. Clearly, absolute nonsense, so he gets a 0 for that. And SSS, SF7XY, and Stephen Harding. So well done, congratulations to everybody there. Marvellous, and see you soon.